Okay, so in this video we're going to go over if statements, which is how you run code based on whether a statement like this is true or false. So I'm firstly just going to get rid of everything here. And to create an if statement, you just type the word if, and then you want to use your normal brackets. Now I haven't spoken about this before, but whenever we're using a function like if or console.log, we have to use these brackets here to say that we want to run that function. And we'll speak about this more when we learn to create our own functions. But for now, inside of these brackets is where the parameters for this function goes. And this function takes the parameters of what do you want to check. So for example, I want to check if 1 is equal to 2. And after this, we need to put in our curly braces here. So the curly braces are the same thing you use in CSS here. And between this, we want to put the JavaScript code that we want to run. So I'm just going to console.log here, and it doesn't really matter what I print out here. So I'll just save this, and we can see here that nothing prints out. So it didn't print out because 1 is not equal to 2. And remember, you need to use 2 equals 2 signs here. Don't accidentally put 1. If you use 1, it means you're assigning something. So for example, if we had a variable down here, like let's create a variable called myvar, and we set it equal to 2. This equals to is how we set something equal to something else. So this single equals to is not for checking, it's for setting. And then we have the double equals to up here, which is for checking if two things are equal. And then obviously the triple equals to, which I showed you in the previous video. So now let's try and make these two statements the same. So I'll set this to 1 as well. And if we save that, now it prints out the console.log here. So let me again change it back to something different. And now I'm going to show you how to run code only if this is not true. So let's say we didn't want this to do anything if it was true. We only want it to do something when it's not true. Then we can simply put a exclamation mark here. And we need to basically surround the entire condition here in brackets. So what this does is it's saying not, and then this entire bracket thing here. So basically this bracket here will run and it will say, for example, either true or false. Here it will say false because 1 is not equal to 2. So let me just write that down here. So the outcome of this bracket here will be the word false. And then we have a not sign next to it, which is just an exclamation mark. So basically this is saying if not false, so in other words true, and then it's running the statement. So this not sign here flips whatever the outcome of this is. Now for now we don't really need to know about that. I'm just showing you how you would do this if you only needed to run code if this was not true. But if you need to run code if this is true and also something else when it's not true, then after the curly braces here, we can use the word else. And then we put another set of curly braces here. So what this will do is it will run the code here if the condition is true, and it will run the code inside of else only if the condition is false. So let me just make a comment here so that we know what's happening. Will run if condition is true. And then down here I'm going to say will run only if all above conditions are false. So what do I mean by all above conditions? We'll see that soon. So let's console.log and I'll just log out the word reach the end here. So you can see that now that prints out here in the console. But this print statement obviously didn't print out because this is not equal to each other. Now if we do set it equal to each other, we get the first print statement here and we don't get this one. But what if we wanted to check two things? So here I want to check if 1 is equal to 2, and that's obviously not true here, so we're reaching the end. But I also want to check if maybe 2 is greater than 1. So to do this, let's move this else statement down a bit. And after the if statement here, I want to use an else if. So it's the word else and then the word if. They're not one command, it's two separate commands here. And inside of this if statement here, I want to put in the second thing that we're checking, which is if 2 is greater than 1. And I'm going to put the curly braces here again. And now let me just move this else statement up a bit. I know this tutorial is a bit confusing, but if statements can be a bit tricky for people who are using it for the first time, but I'm sure you guys will get it soon. So here I want to, this will run only if the above statements are false and this statement is true. So what this means is, if this first if statement runs, everything below this won't run, doesn't matter what's written in here. But if this statement doesn't run, it fails, then it will first check if this is true. So it's first going to check if 2 is greater than 1. And if it is, then it will run the code in here. If this is not true and this is not true, then only will it do what's in the else. And the else basically covers all scenarios, so no matter what, if these two don't run, then the third one will run. So I'm going to console.log here. And I'm just going to print out else if ran. And if we save this, we can see that it console.logs that out here. So it did that because 1 is not equal to 2, but 2 is greater than 1. So now let's change this back to 1 here to make them both equal. Now it prints out the first console.log statement because 1 is equal to 1. And let's make them not equal to anymore. And let's also make this not true. So now it says reach the end here. That's because 1 is not equal to 2 and 2 is not greater than 3. So we run the default else statement. So this is basically where the default code that you want to run in case everything fails should go. And I know that you guys may not get all of this right now. I know it's a big topic to cover, but I do need to go over this early in the JavaScript tutorial because we use it for a lot of stuff here. So in the next video, I'll show you guys how to create your own functions. So yeah, make sure you check out the next video.